This January transfer window for Manchester United, I don't think it's a typical one, and I fear United could well be making a pretty big mistake. By the way, this has nothing to do with a knee-jerk reaction to anything that's been said, and for quite a few reasons. I can explain exactly why. Right, so the January transfer window is open, and Ruben Amorim isn't expecting much to happen at United. Maybe nothing to do with outgoings? I think there are going to be some, but in terms of signings, this is where I want to have a conversation in this video. And as I said there in the intro, this is not a knee-jerk reaction to Ruben Amorim's comments ahead of the Leeds game. And I want to explain exactly why. You can let me know what you think about this in the comments, but give me 10 minutes of your time so I can run through this chronologically, okay? Now, as I said, partly this is in a response to what Ruben Amorim said in his press conference. He said that there's no conversations going on for any changes in the squad, which I think would be a massive oversight from United and a massive mistake if I'm being completely honest. Now, Ruben Amorim might just be keeping his cards close to his chest, and very much hope he is, because so far, if I'm being honest, I think Ruben Amorim's been backed by Ineos. Whether you go back to the summer and the signings that we did make, or you talk about the support that Ruben Amorim has had this season, despite the up and down nature, and look, there's been a lot of United fans that have wanted Amorim to be sacked, and I think a lot of the fan anger has been justified. But Amorim has retained the support of the board. Am I going to speak about articles from the Daily Mail about the board's falling out with him and WhatsApp conversations coming out from August in January? No, not really. Not at this point in time. It kind of feels like one of those articles that are just taking advantage of the discourse right now. That's kind of what it feels like. But if we rewind to the summer, Amorim wanted to sign a midfielder. You remember this? This was from The Athletic, from Laurie Whitwell, and this was released on the 2nd of September, I believe. Amorim wanted a midfielder. Wilcox said, no, our priority is a striker. We went and signed Šeško. Ratcliffe supported Wilcox's point of view, and we didn't sign a midfielder. Now, of course, we've been linked, and we were, after Belieber, Brighton put too high a price on him. We walked away from it, and since we've now been linked with Anderson, with Wharton, and plenty of other midfielders. But Amorim wanted a midfielder in the summer. So that's going to be the first point of view that I'm saying here. United and our need for midfielders, this is not a knee-jerk reaction to where we are in the league right now or what's going on right now this season. We're looking at a full overhaul of our midfield in the same way we were looking at a full overhaul of our attack in the summer. We're not just talking about one midfielder who could complete our midfield and this sort of level of signing. I think there are different levels of midfield signings that we could make. Secondly, United wanted to sign Semenyo in January. It was a market opportunity, and we were in for him. He chose City. Hope it fails miserably for him. But we had the money to do that. Now, I believe that the first instalment for him would have been around 20 million. Now, it's not to say that we've now got 65 million to spend on a midfielder, but at the very least, we felt that we had 20 mil and we had some money to put that first payment down on Semenyo. So we had the ambition to go after him. Now, why wouldn't that extend to midfielders? My second question. Third is this, right? And I think this might be the most important one. Ruben Amorim here is saying that, look, United being close to the Champions League spots, it doesn't actually change anything this season. And I'd argue that actually the opposite is true. To me, it feels like this January, more than an average January transfer window, United have got the ability to improve our squad to the point where it might actually be the difference maker between getting in the Champions League spots by the end of the season and not getting in the Champions League spots, simply because of how the league is going this season. It is so ridiculously open that if there are clubs that are ambitious enough, man, it's not just ambitious enough, but partly it is, ambitious enough to see the opportunity of what a positive January transfer window can do, I think those clubs can gain an advantage over others. And that's what I mean about that's the main thing for me, I think. If we were, I don't know, far away from the top 5 already, then I probably might be looking at this January transfer window a little bit differently. But because we're so close, I think United really should be going after somebody in midfield in January. Now, Sky Sports are saying that United are exploring the Belieber deal, but that no deal is expected in January. Because Brighton want to hold on to him because they think that the market for midfielders is going to be more competitive in the summer, and they're probably correct. We know what the price was for him in the summer, somewhere between 80 and 100 mil, and maybe that's exactly the same now, but after the season that he's had so far, probably not. We're also exploring maybe exploring, or maybe just midfielders getting linked to us. Bouadi from Lille, I've spoken about him quite a few times. I think everyone's going to be after him in the summer. Somewhere between 40 and 50 mils, a bit like when we signed Lenny Yoro, also from Lille. I don't know whether he's going to... Look, he's that level of midfielder in terms of the talent that he is now. What's the other one? Christos Mouzakitis. Is he from Olympiacos? I think he is. We're linked with quite a few younger midfielders. We're also linked, of course, with these three, but I don't think that elite level midfielder can be signed in January, but it doesn't mean, and here's the kicker, it doesn't mean that we can't sign a midfielder, I think, that can improve this squad. And I go back to what I said about United's midfield overhaul needing to be huge. Like, Casemiro, I think, should be leaving in the summer. Ugarte should be leaving in the summer. Bruno Fernandes, we don't know what's going on with him. And Kobbie Mainoo, I think if United don't loan him out in January, I think come the summer, after sitting on the bench for the second half of the season as well, I think Kobbie will change his mind on his United future and will think that his career belongs elsewhere. And I think that relationship will be broken. Hence why I think he should be going out on loan. And Ruben Neves, do I think that he's going to be a midfielder that comes in the second half of the season and transforms our midfield? No. Do I think that João Gomez could be a midfielder that comes in and transforms our midfield? No. Not in the way that potentially an Elliot Anderson could, but we won't be able to sign him in January. However, I think we could sign one of these. Would they be the difference maker between United getting in the Champions League and not getting in the Champions League? Now, I can't guarantee that. Do I think they will make our midfield options better? I can guarantee that. And because this table is so close, that might be the difference maker. And that's what I mean about, I think it would just be a massive mistake and a massive oversight from United to look at this January transfer window and just go, no, our top targets aren't available, so we can't sign anybody. Because Semenyo was in no way, shape or form a top target for us. To sign another attacker after the summer that we had when we signed spent 200 mil, on Mbeumo, Šeško and Cunha, was far from our priority, but it was a market opportunity that the club wanted to take. And I understand that. This, for me, January transfer window, is a market opportunity that United need to take because of how close that table is. And I think there are midfielders available that we could sign in the region of maybe 20 to 30 mil that might not transform things, but might just give us that little bit extra that might help us get over the line. And I think even if they won't be that Elliot Anderson or Adam Wharton or Carlos Baleba top level, I think they could be squad players in, like, for example, an Ugarte replacement after he's gone in the summer. And I think that's just an opportunity United can't afford to miss. So I'm hoping that this is Amorim sort of keeping his cards close to his chest. Because I think it's not just about backing a manager and giving him everything. And this is not me just being a spoiled brat and saying, I just want more. I just see this as a chance for United to bolster somewhere we desperately needed to bolster in the summer. And it's not knee-jerk because we need to overhaul that whole midfield. So even if we can't sign the top-level midfielder that we need, I think we can probably sign a squad midfielder that might make a difference. And not signing anybody, well, it just doesn't help us.